Let us start now because we
Dr. D says okay to Maya.
Hello,
definitely.
All right, Queen Debbie.
It's the top of the hour.
Yes,
All right.
yes. Start.
All right, Queen Debbie, you can let me get everything started here.
When you come downstairs, there, I don't want noise.
Let me get everything started here.
Recording in progress.
I think it would be nice if you unmute yourself, my dear.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, brothers and sisters, all global ambassadors. It's such an honor to be with you this wonderful Thursday evening of July 13, 2023. This is an official unpassive webinar on globally changing lives, deep dive. We welcome each and every one of you who is here with us, and we hope you will enjoy being with us as much as we enjoy having you with us. So we're going to start with one of our very own sister's signature tune, In It to Win It, by Sister Lerato Shadare Prosperity. And please pay attention to the nonverbal communication messages that you will get from listening to that music. And the person who is going to play it for us is Dr. Derek. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Derek.
We are
On passive. On passive, the future of internet.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
On passive, the future of internet. Thank you very much, Dr. Derek. We truly appreciate the visual aspect of the music. It makes it so different from any regular song. And I could see that the products that we have in the pipeline that when we launch will come on. That's what I saw it being displayed. Thank you very much appreciated. So before we continue, I just want to thank our speaker of the day for the mindset, Queen J.W. Queen Jacqueline Warner. We love having you with us every week. And your inspiration is very, very, very welcomed. And today, I see a couple of names that I haven't seen before on an iPhone. I don't know if that's someone who's been with us, but I just want to say just a little bit about who Queen Jacqueline Warner is. For those who have not seen her before, she is an entrepreneur of perfumes, cosmetics, and food supplements. She also is a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 8. And her inspirational slogan is believe in your dream. Queen JW loves to inspire, and she is also the host of Real Talk that is streamed live on Facebook. If you haven't seen her, she is the CEO and data center owner, the one and only, who loves to help others. And today she's going to help us find ourselves in the journey of unpassive. Without further ado, please, let's welcome our inspirational speaker for the day, Queen Jacqueline Warner. Over to you, the microphone is yours.
Thank you so much, Queen Debbie. You look marvelous as always. And thank you for that introduction. Just merely a young woman just striving to have a spot on this planet and to do something great for others, as always. And thank you so much, Dr. Derek, for allowing me to speak on our platform. Thank you, Dr. Patience. Thank you, Dr. John. Just thank you, Queen, Dr. Benny, you know, the white first lady of Unpassive, and all the brand ambassadors. We are truly in it to win it. We are going to be in the best shape ever. And we have to say thanks to our CEO, Mr. Ashma Farah, and the team. And most of all, we got to thank our Heavenly Father for making all this possible, because without him, nothing is possible. So tonight, my topic is basically the importance of showing up. That is so important. Why? It was stated by Woody Allen, 80% of success is by showing up. And you also hear our CEO, Mr. Ashma Farah, also stated that same statement. And he also said, all you have to do is make a little effort. He don't say you have to do everything. Make a little effort, because that effort you made is not for Mr. Ashma Farah or the team, but it's for actually each and every one of us. When we show up, we empower ourselves. We learn something new. We are more confident. We are more joyful. We're more happy. We have clarity. And that's why showing up is so important. Just think of it. Do we want to leave a legacy behind? Do we actually want to uplift humanity and help Ash Mafara and his team to do so? You know, some of these things we got to ask ourselves. And that's where it come back when Dr. T talked about the why. If that why is not strong enough, not powerful enough to push you, to make you show up, or even if your why is not strong enough, just think about your children. Don't you want to show up for them? Don't you want to show up for yourself? Don't you want to show up for those people that's less unfortunate? The people that are struggling and suffering in our own communities. We don't even have to look at the rest of the world. The suffering and the struggle is within each and every one of our communities. And we need to show up. I remember when my dad was ill and he called and he said, Jackie, even if you could come for 3 days. And I said to myself, well, my dad never said that before. So in a way, it sounds like it must be something serious. But yet, listening to someone else, they try to detour me from thinking further on it. Say, just take care of your stuff. Don't worry. Then I got another call from another relative. She said, your father is deteriorating fastly, rapidly. I got on the phone. I got an airline ticket. Within 2 days, it was a Thursday. And I got there to St. Martin to see about my dad. And it was so. My dad was deteriorating. And I had to show up. I had to show up for him. I had to take care of him. There was no one else but me. And also at the same time, when I showed up, I thought of what I was doing also, that I was setting an example for my children so they can show up. So when we show up, we set an example for others in our family. It could be our friends. It could be just even strangers. They will look at it. They will think about it. You know, I showed up for my dad and I was there until he passed. And I keep on showing up. I show up for my kids. When my son was in sports, I was attending those basketball games. And I was the biggest mouth on that arena. You hear me? I was even talking to the referees. Because you got to show up. Kids love to see their mothers and fathers, or even if it's not their mother, they want to see someone that's related to them in that audience. They want you to show up. You know, and don't talk about the little ones, you know, when they see their mom and dad, they forget about the play they're doing or the event. They be like, there go daddy, or there go mommy. You know, they are excited. So we need to show up. We need to show up as business owners. It had a statement made, I think it was by Mr. Klein. And he said, we want to do the noun, but we don't want the verb. And that means we as some of us, not all of us, you know, but some of us wants the money, but we don't want to do the work. Even though on passive is said you can be passive, you still got to do something. You have to know how to manage your business. Yes, Mr. Ashmafara and the team is going to do all the heavy lifting, but you don't think you got to lift too? You don't think you have to show up to the webinars when Dr. John is talking about finance and investments and all the things that we're going to need in our business? Or when you get these apples, don't you think he's taking time out of his schedule to share that information? Or Dr. Derek, every Tuesday, Sunday, and even other webinars that he attends, he show up. Let me tell you, when you show up, you learn. You learn something new. People start to recognize you. Opportunities start to come your way. When I came to this webinar, I came because I had a problem in Unpassive with one of my accounts. And it said, you know what, Dr. Derek could take, Mr. Ian McLean said, Dr. Derek could take care of you. And I showed up to the webinar. And that's how that's why I'm here today. And I'm showing up every Thursday. Even when you don't feel like showing up, show up. It's benefit you. It benefits your family. It benefits your friends. It benefits other ambassadors, that you can share information with them, that you can help them along the way. You know, Ash wants a family. That's what he wants. He wants us to be united as one. You got to show up. Make a little effort. It doesn't hurt. I have learned so much, even though I came in on the last stop. You know what? I learned so much. I have all of Dr. John. I was wondering where all these screenshots came from with Dr. John talking about finance. It's because I screenshot when he was speaking. I take notes so that way I can share with others. You got to show up. Show up means a lot. When you show up, you don't even know what might happen. You don't even know what might happen. And that's why you should show up. We learn something new. Yes, some of us don't get to the corporate call with Mr. Ash Mafara, our CEO, our friend, and our leader, because he's a true leader. Sometimes we don't get to show up there because of maybe we have work or maybe we had an appointment. But you know, one thing I could say about Unpassive, there's always backup due to these amazing leaders that we have. You got Marty, you got Red, you got Dr. Derek, you got Dr. Patience, you got Mr. Ellis, you got Mike Williams, you got Julie. There's no way you're going to say you get left behind. And like our CEO said, even 1 month could throw you off track. And when Unpassive start bringing these products one behind each other people's going to have to take care of their business. This is a business. Individually, each of us have a responsibility to our own selves. Success is our responsibility. It's not Mr. Ash. Yes, he's the resource. Yes. And you know, yes, like Dr. T said, God is our source. So if you depend on God and you trust in Him wholeheartedly, and you have an opportunity before you, or like Dr. Derek will say, a business, a unicorn business, a CEO that show up all the time, not every day, but when he show up, he fill you for the whole week. He fill you for the whole month with all sort of information. And then these leaders, Dr. Derek and Marty and Red and Chris Johnson, they take that same information and they bring it back to us so we can hear it. In every webinar you go to, you hear it. They might have it twist a little bit, but it's the same information. And if you can't attend a webinar, there's always the YouTube channel to catch up at your own convenience. So if you get left behind, that's your choice. That's not Mr. Ash Mafara's choice. And he is such a generous man, a generous leader, a generous CEO. And he keep on giving us more and more and more. And some of us still don't want to show up. Some brand ambassadors never even attended a webinar. Some of us is not taking the time. Even Dr. Derek and Dr. Patience and Dr. John and Dr. Benny are doing their thing to help us. We got to know how to help ourselves and help our neighbor. That's what the good book says. It says, help your neighbor. Why not? If we stand together, we are victorious. If we show up, we are victorious. Show up. Show up for your children. Show up for your family. Show up for your colleagues. This Unpassive is disruptive, is unlimited, and let me tell you, there's nothing like it. And a lot of you know that for yourself. Some of us will be the first time of us being a business owner. But if you're being prepared week after week to get the mindset in the right place so you can flourish, then why not? It's free. Let me tell you, I was in the network marketing and I had to pay for everything that I needed. I had to pay to learn. And here you're learning for free and we're taking it for granted. And you have the opportunity to leave a legacy if you want to. You got an opportunity to help situations and conditions in your own communities if you want to. You have the opportunity to change your life around if you want to. It all starts with each and every one of us. It does not start with Mr. Ashmafaro, like Dr. Derek said. That's his dream. He's just taking us for the ride so we can fulfill our dreams. That's what you got to understand. And he's doing an amazing job. We will never, I have to say never, because in all my years on this planet, I have not found someone as generous, as compassionate, filled with integrity as our CEO, our friend, Mr. Ashmafaro. When you show up and you keep putting your work out there, this is the stuff that happens. Good things start to happen. You make new connections. People reach out to you. Opportunities start presenting themselves. I showed up one time on this webinar with Dr. Derry, and I've been with him ever since. Even when I missed a night because I was on vacation, I felt it so bad. I felt it bad that I didn't show up, you know? But I make sure every time, every Thursday, I prepare myself. I make sure Dr. Derek started having me send the topic ahead of time. Last night I fell asleep listening to Ashmafaro because he sent the link out. It's live now. I jump on, you know? And even if I jumped on and I didn't miss it, I got up in the morning and I showed up again on the 360 and listened to it from what I missed. You gotta show up. This is your business. Nobody makes it that easy for you to get a business. If it was that easy, we all would have had a business already. We all would be successful and we would not need to be here on this platform. So why not show up? Let me see what else I have to say regarding that. Start small. Develop a habit. Develop a system so you can start fulfilling your goals. If you don't have a system in place, nothing is going to work. Learn the routine. Develop a process that you can stick to. It can be, make sure it's natural. Don't make nothing by force, because then you're not going to be comfortable following it. So let it be natural. We have some routines that we already naturally do every day. Now we need to implement the business aspect of it by getting the mindset right. If you don't get it right, where are we going to be? You know, our CEO talked about not failing us, not even failing himself. He said, if he fail, we fail. But if he win, we win. It's a win-win situation any way you look at it. We are surrounded, and he's locking it up every which way he goes. That we will be financially free, that we will have time freedom to really take care of our families, because your job is not allowing you to take care of your family. As a matter of fact, they don't even care about your family. Don't you show up for your job every day, even if you don't like it? Some people hate their jobs, but they show up every day by force because you got to pay your bills. You got to pay your bills. Are you able to retire yourself? No. This is the opportunity. So show up. Show up. Because when you show up, you get more, you're more confident. You're more satisfied. You know, you make more progress in your life. You see things moving. This year can't be the same as next year, and the year after can't be the same. So therefore, if you're you're showing up, something got to change. Things change for me. And when you hear some of the brand ambassadors talk about how their life changed, especially Marty, who's been in network marketing for over 30 something years, and to hear him say that Unpassing changed his life, and you can hear some of them say, you know, I thought this was it. I was finished. But here come a passive. He could take his dreams off the back burner. He could start thinking again. We could start dreaming again. So show up. Show up for you. Show up for your family. Show up and start, and you know, so then you could start, you can become the noun, and the verb would be so easy. So I thank each and every one of you for your listening ear. And I hope that you will take this to heart and show up. I know we're not perfect. We know that. And maybe we can't be at every webinar. And that's okay. But you can always go back and look at it on YouTube. Subscribe to Unpassive. Learn your products. You know, you want to use your affiliate link. That's showing up. Using your link. He said little effort. And just like God saying, faith as small as a mustard seed. And look at Ash. He said you got to go and build the house, put on the roof, make the driveway, plant the trees. He's not saying that. He just say, just a little effort. A man that's spending millions of dollars is asking us to make a little effort. Let me tell you, if you don't make that little effort today, where will your tomorrow be? Where will your family be? Would you leave them struggling in this ugly and wicked world? Would you be able to help your brothers and sisters that's less fortunate than us? And even if you don't have much, you can show up for your friends. I did that. I used to have friends, and I had my kids. We will go to my girlfriend's house and help her clean up her house and help her organize her house. I didn't have to have much. If I see a bum on the street, I'll give them money, whatever they need. If they don't have groceries, I go and give them groceries. You got to show up. Show up for yourself. Show up for this amazing business that you're in. No one will ever give us a business again. And if you miss out on this amazing business, this unicorn business called Unpassing, then you will be totally lost and you will live a life of regret. I can tell you that. Because you can see the people that's gone ahead of you already, what their lives are and how they are struggling. So let's make a difference. Let's show up and let's help our brothers and sisters. Thank you again for your listening there. Have enjoyed the webinar, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you again. Thank you, Queen Debbie. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Queen Jackie. Wow. I do remember October 2022, when you first had to talk to us about the mindset. That was like yesterday. I cannot believe it's almost coming to a year. And how we have come along from that time to now. It's an honor. And yes, you rightfully said it. 80% of it, as you echo our CEO, is showing up, right? That's why you've been showing up. You came for help, you never left. Each and everyone came for something. Be you, be any of our brothers, any of our kings and queens, they came for something and they never left. Yes. And so are we, we're still here. And may I say, before I move to anyone who has any comment about you, very brief comments so we can hear what Dr. John has to say. But before we continue to that, I want to say this to Queen JW. You nailed it, woman.
Look at you.
You know,
Thank
I
you so much.
always say that to you, right?
Yes.
The subtle way you put your things, I need to find the right way to tell you how I feel it, how I accepted it, how I internalize it. And that 80% is what I say. You nailed it. Thank you. Because you took that word from our CEO, you took this speech from our CEO and you took it at heart and you're sharing your observation with us and what your mind tells you you should share with us today. That's outstanding. Thank you very much. So I'll just say just a few comments if you have any, so we don't miss the next segment of our webinar for the day, please. So I'll just wait for a few seconds if you have anything to comment from Queen JW's presentation about the mindset. This is the right time to raise your hand. And if we don't have any hand raised, we're going to move to the next segment. Okay, Queen Sister Dr. Benny.
Of course.
You nailed it. I was watching at Queen Debbie. You nailed it. Oh, anyway, Queen Jackie, I want to really appreciate everything. The thing that I raised my hands up for a reason. One thing that you said, which makes me happy, and I believe that everybody will do the same, is you first of all thank our Heavenly Father. Yes, if it wasn't for him, you will not be here. All of us will not be here. You nail it. I'll be quiet for now. Our Jehovah God is very important. He brought all of us here this evening, and that's why you and I were breathing. Because of him, he brought our visionary to all of us. Thank you, Mr. Ashmufara. All right, Queen Debbie, I'm done.
Thank you, Dr. Benny. Thank you. And we always leave that part of thanking our Creator to you because we know you do it best. So everyone knows you are the holder of that department of grace. Over to you, Queen Sister Dr. Patience.
Sorry, I'm behind the camera. I will unveil myself. You don't unveil the Lolo like that. Anybody that knows what Lolo is, you take your time to unveil your Lolo. But let me not distract you. I was just waiting for Queen Debbie to say you nailed it. I was going to call on her, like I've not heard you nailed it. But Dr. D said Queen Derek doesn't say you nailed it, means you have not done it. Wow, Sister Queen JW, showing up, just show up. I think our CEO said the other day that just 80% participation, something like that, right? Just participate. It has not changed the fact that we had card mode. That has not changed. If you don't show up, how can you switch the light for the automation to take place? Show up. Queen JW showed up and she has not shown up, to stop showing up since then. She told us different way of showing up. I just want to say, trust me, every day we come to this, you learn a different way of just presenting your mindset. If we just present our mindset the right way, we'll not be, when are you going to lunch there? When are we going to have money? When is this happening? When are we not doing that? If you show up, you know when the meal is ready. Thank you, Queen JW, as we call you here. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Patience.
Thank you, Dr. P. Okay, the last hand will be our brother, Pastor Shaggy, and a brief one from him, and then we'll go to our next topic. Over to you, Brother Shaggy. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond. Sister Jacqueline, you just spoke to my heart. Show up. You know, sometimes you really don't feel like showing up. But if you just show up, you see what God has in mind for you. You are right on the money on that. You know, some Sundays I'll feel like there are a lot of people out there who are helping the needy, who are giving out food and clothes. I don't have to go today. And then something will tell me, well, they're doing their part, show up. And then I will show up, sometimes late. And I'll get there and find out, either because of the rain or some light snow, people didn't show up. And they were waiting. You know, and just the idea of showing up, because you don't know what's waiting for you. And so I show up, and sometimes I'll just be literally tears in my eyes when they say, oh, we've been waiting for you. And I look around, I'm like, what happened? Oh, well, because it rained. If I didn't show up, I'll never know what I just missed. To be God's hand. And I know that that's for all of us. Brother John will come and say something there, and somebody will go and fix their finances just because he showed up and said, think about your family. Think about, right now, something about your legacy. That will. Somebody will leave the meeting and go find a way to write a will. If he didn't show up, he would have missed that person. So thank you for reminding us that it's just as simple as showing up. Because when you show up, God can take it from there. Now, because you're here, guess what I have for you? We showed up when somebody invited us to Unpassive, and now we are looking at some big breakthrough that is imminent. Again, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I was here to listen to that. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Sister Debbie and all the leaders online, God bless you.
Thank you very much, Brother Shaggy. We appreciate it very much. Queen Vinette, make it really brief because we need to move to the next. I didn't know there will be another hand after Brother Shaggy. Please. Thank you. Over to you, Queen Vinette. Welcome. You can unmute.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Queen Jackie! Let me tell you, you surely got us listening and learning. And in order to do that, we have to show up. In order to listen and learn, right? We have to show up. You kind of remind me of my 6th grade teacher when I was in 6th grade. If you miss a day and you get something wrong because you didn't show up, she whoop you into learning, okay? So we have to show up every day because she was always there every day. So that's you. You whoop us into learning tonight. So great job. Thank you so much. As Mr. McForrest said, you got to be in it to win it, right? And that means we have to show up, right? We have to show up in order to be in it, to win it. So great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Queen Vanette. Appreciate you.
Wow, that was truly brief and straight to the point, Queen Vinette. We love you. Thank you so much for your observation. All right, let's move to the next segment of our webinar. And before I move on, I want to welcome each and everyone who has showed up today, national, international, from every part of the world. We love having you, and we thank you for showing up today. And also, we want to thank Dr. Derek for always giving us the forum for each and everyone who shows up to express themselves and to share their passion for Unpassive. At this stage, I'm going to introduce the topic that one of our kings is going to talk about is the importance, oh my goodness, no, not the importance, but the steps to financial freedom. Last week we got part 1, today is part 2. I don't know how many parts he has, but he usually has a lot of them. So I know that some of us here, at least half of us know who he is, and those who do not know, his name is one and only Dr. John Ajangwin, who is also the spouse to Dr. Patience Ajangwin. And who is he? Dr. John Ajangwin completed his PhD in chemical and biological engineering in the UK before coming to the US. And it was followed by a postdoctoral research during which He also completed an MBA, transitioning into the pharmaceutical industry. He spent the last 2 decades in the pharmaceutical industry and worked with Merck Pharmaceuticals, as well as GlaxoSmithKline, Johnson & Johnson, Sanofi Pasteur, and he also carried global projects. So over 10 years ago, he decided to leave the corporate America and moved into financial services area and has focused his literacy to individuals and businesses, wealth creation, debt elimination, wealth protection, and legacy planning. Dr. John Ajangwen is also a senior marketing director with the World Financial Group. As I mentioned earlier, he is married to Queen Dr. Patience and a father of 5. Please, without further ado, let's welcome him so he can share his knowledge with us in relation to finances. And this is part 2 of several series that he has generously offered to share with our global ambassadors on this forum. Over to you, Dr. John.
Wow, wow, good evening, and thank you very much, Queen Debbie. Thank you, Dr. Derek, for giving me the opportunity to be able to show up on this platform. And my heart goes out, and I thank the Queen JW for the wonderful, wonderful presentation about the importance of showing up. And I hope that I'm just going to be able to share 1 or 2 things by showing up here, and in your being here, hopefully, hopefully, you will be able to benefit as well. So we're gonna just dive right into it, and we'll talk about our discussions which we started last week, just examining what I termed steps to financial independence. As we know, we're in a good place, and once the apples start falling, there may not be any problem as to whether we'll have riches, but the question is, how are we going to convert these riches into wealth, and how are we going to convert the wealth to some sort of legacy that we can leave with our loved ones, with charities, or whoever that we want to leave that with. So I'm gonna just go through the discussion, and I hope maybe if there's something that you find that you want to discuss further, we can actually talk about it. Just a quick recap, I put this chart up last week, and last week we actually focused on the point number 1, which was really what I called the fundamentals, talking about making sure that we are in a good state to be able to enjoy this wealth. Today, I'm going to touch on 2 areas that I've circled in red, but recognizing that one of our queens, Dr. Tunisia, had actually talked about emergency funding in one of her presentations. So I'm not going to really belabor that point, because it was really brilliant what she had put together and shared with us. I'm going to spend a bit more time really talking about how we can get our house in order, because right now, many of us, the anxiety that is in us trying to say, when are we starting, basically comes down to the fact that we're in financial holes. And you cannot actually start climbing if you don't dig yourself out of the hole. And what I'm just gonna share today is just some simple concepts that people can use to get ourselves out of any holes or debts that we have at the moment. And one thing I just want to mention is these are general concepts. Once on passive, goes commercial and we start having the apples, the very first mindset idea we have been sharing and preaching, I think Dr. Derek has talked about this a couple of times, is don't just rush into doing anything. Take your time. Make sure that we can actually see how it is going to proceed before you start jumping into some big projects. But even at that early stage, it is important to think about the foundation and think about getting our house in order so that we can position ourselves in a good way to actually proceed. JW talked about developing a process. She talked about being consistent, and she talked about making sure that we have some routines. Unfortunately, in our lives, we have sort of developed some routines that have actually put us in a place where we could almost feel frozen and not being able to move away from it. And one of those, I like this, when I came across this principle, I loved it a lot, and it seems to really be something that many of us get stuck in life. So if you've if you heard about it, it's what it generally called the baby elephant principle. So the story goes that when a baby elephant is born, you know, they put a very strong pole and tie the elephant with a chain, and over time it's trying to yank it away, and and realizes that it cannot pull away the chain or pull away the stake. And even when that elephant becomes a couple of thousands of pounds heavier, and they even just tie a little string and put just a tiny stake in the ground, that elephant would, in most cases, just stay there, because over time it had learned that it cannot just pull itself away from that. That actually happens to be one of those type of principles that we develop, especially in our finances, that make us to sort of freeze when we want to look at changing. We know that, you know, that is the order of the day. We know that borrowing money and living kind of paycheck to paycheck is part of the way of life, and we don't actually get into developing that mindset to do it differently. So what I'm just saying here is, let's think about the baby elephant principle that we have grown up with concerning money, and how we are going to change post on passive. So if we think about it, this, again, as I talked about the last week, most of this information I'm gleaning may be more based on my understanding of the typical American family and American financial systems, but I believe that they would apply to many places. So when you look at an average family, what tends to happen very, very broadly is that about 50% of the income that somebody gets, I don't care what number it is, whether it's 100, it's 10,000 that you get in a month or more, about roughly 50% of that goes towards living expenses. And for the typical families, about a quarter of that, at least in the US, goes towards taxes. Some of that goes towards servicing of debts. And the story in America is that there's not a lot of savings that goes on. And if you look at the way the pie is divided, the average American family, and I'll say the average family, tends to be about living ahead of their money. So you end up with more month than money, and in most cases end up negative. On the other side of the equation, you take the same amount of money and you give it to somebody who has a wealth creation mindset. Guess what? They're gonna still spend about 50% of their money on expenses. Yes, they probably have a few more expensive toys that they play around with, But the big difference comes on the left-hand side of this pie, where many of them tend to pay less in taxes. They have much reduced debt, and they have a bigger piece of the pie in savings. And because of this rearrangement, most of them actually end up having more money left over at the end of the month than days. So when we talk about debt here, before we actually go deeper into it, I just want to make sure we all understand that not all debt is bad debt. And that's one of the things that I want us to think about. I believe, if you recall, when we're talking about some of the readiness, financial readiness, I did share about some of those assets and liabilities and the types of where we spend our money and can create bad debts for ourselves. So if somebody were taking out a debt for the purpose of investments or savings or to build wealth, yeah, you could be happy with those debts because you know it's going to give you more returns. But if that debt is taken out just for some frivolous expenses, or if it's taken out, say, to create what I'll call debt that will start generating extra debt, like in terms of in the form of interest, then it's only digging us down the hole. So by no means I'm saying here that don't have your debt or don't have any debt, but let's think about what it is we're doing. Because if you look at this pie again, if it was left to the rich people, I believe they have enough disposable income not to have any debts, but they choose to have the debt, and in most cases, those are good debts. So in general, when I was doing my research, I came across like 7, there are more, but I sort of put them into about 7 categories of strategies that people can use to reduce debts. So the very first one, obviously, is to cut back or change your lifestyle. The second is to really develop the discipline of budgeting. That's a whole topic on its own, but we're not going to get into that right here. We can at some future date. And then, especially for those of us in America, the financial education that our kids learn in high school is like how to use the credit card. And if you know, most of our younger generation grows up just knowing swipe, 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 and they don't really understand how the credit card can affect them. And I did actually do a whole series of lectures, which I think the younger ones, especially college kids, they loved it, was really to tell people how to be able to read their credit card statement, understand the differences between billing dates and due dates and interest rates and so on, and more importantly, how to be able to manage those credit cards so that they do not impact their credit scores. And that is one big area. But again, this presentation today is not going to really focus on credit cards unless somebody or there is an appetite for that. Then the fifth one is obviously for you hear a lot about debt consolidation, so that maybe there's a way that you can pull all your debts in one area, pay somebody, and they consolidate them for you, and you pay less in interest, or you get some sort of financial counseling and education so as to be able to do the right things when it comes to managing your finances. Number 5 talks about how to pay off your debt, and really that's what I really want to focus on today, on some simple strategies. But before we go on to that, let me just spend about a minute or two and talk about this rule of 72. My hope here is that at least 50% of the people or more here in this webinar actually have heard, or they do understand what the rule of 72 is. but I do know that 100% of us apply it. So what is this rule? It is a rule that ironically was created by Albert Einstein, the crazy physicist mathematician, and he called it the eighth wonder of the world. We know of 7. And it's very simple. Don't ask me how he came by it, but he basically found out that if you take the number 72 and you divide it by the interest rate that you are using, then it would approximate to the number of years that it would take for your money to double. And in this example here, we're saying if you have a 12% interest and you apply the rule of 72 to that 12%, then that money doubles in 6 years. So if you had a savings account that you could, or some investment that you could put, say, $10,000 in it, and you didn't take some of that money out and it was averaging 12%, then in 6 years, that money will double to 12. Another 6 years, you double to 20, and in another 6 years, the 20 will double to 40. The statement that Einstein made here was that those who understand the rule of 72, they earn it, and those who do not understand the rule of 72, they pay for it. What does that mean? If you also have a debt that is at 12%, then and you do nothing to that debt, yes, that rule is still going to apply to it, and it will double in the same 6 years. If you take that debt and it's, say, 18%, then 72, you divide that by 18, I believe that number is 4. In 4 years, that debt will double. So why is this important? It is important because when we look at your bank, if you are very, very lucky, you're probably making maybe 1 to 2% interest in your savings at the moment. And if you are saving at, or your money is growing at about 1 to 2%, let's take 1% so the math is easier in my head. And you have a $10,000, you put it in some nice bank account at 1%, then Mr. Einstein tells us that it will take 72 years for that 10,000 to become 20,000. But just imagine if you had a credit card that was going at 18% and you went and tried to keep that 18% credit card and do nothing with it, it's going to double in 4 years. Your money doubles in 72 years that the bank is giving you, but your debt doubles in 4 years. So if you do not understand this rule and understand how to manage your finances, you can be saving your money somewhere, earning nothing from it, and borrowing from the same institution and paying for it. So, as an example, as I said, I think I talked about this already, that if you had like 10,000 and it was accruing an interest of 12%, then you could easily double to 20,000 in 6 years. So we know that debts really create a lot more than just the financial strain on people. People who are in debt tend to actually get sick easily. They tend to have other anxieties, stresses in family and relationships, and other bad side effects. So it is important that once we actually start to get our apples from unpassive, we make sure that we get rid at least of the bad debts that we have. And some very simple strategies here is like you can pay more than the minimum that you're paying at the moment. We can try the snowball method. I will talk about that in the next couple of slides. You can actually refinance your debt. That way you're getting the rule of 72 to work for you. So if you had your debt at say 12% and you can refinance at 6 or 8%, then it actually works in your favor because it will take a longer time for that interest to build. And once you got some windfalls, please commit a significant amount to getting out of debt so that that interest is yours rather than funding someone else. And in the worst case, you get some of this debt management organizations that will tell you that they can help you settle for less. But you know, there is nothing like a free lunch. So if they're settling your debt for less, be rest assured that something in your financial is going to suffer. It could be your credit score or your ability to get a loan from some other person. So generally, there are like two ways that you can use to pay off your debt if you're doing the payments. And I'm going to say here that in general, this is when you have a lot of debts that you have to clear and you're trying to figure out which one I should pay first. The first method is called the avalanche method. And it basically says, write down all your debts and write down what the interest rates being charged on each of them is and pay the ones with the highest interest first, while paying a minimum interest on the others. It's important to be paying the others so that you don't get again into financial problems like debt collectors calling you and all that good stuff. Or the snowball method, which basically says you write all these debts, forget about the interest rates, just list them from the smallest to the biggest, and then start paying the smallest one first. There are advantages to using one or both of the strategies. But one of the things that I have discovered is that whenever I speak with people, a lot of them do not even know what the interest rates on their debts are. Some of those loans are even variable interest rates, so the interest rate changes from time to time. So in most cases, the general thing that most people do is to use the snowball method, which says you list from the $5,000 to the $10,000 to the $20,000 all the way to the $100,000 debt. List the minimum amount you're supposed to pay each month or each whatever payment period it is. And what the first thing that we need to do, again, Queen JW talked about it, is develop some nice habit. And the first habit you need to do is commit to stop getting into more debt. That's the first thing, because you cannot be in a hole trying to dig yourself out and throwing the dirt out, because what you end up doing is just getting in deeper and deeper. So the first thing is really to commit to stop borrowing. And then what you do is whatever extra cash that you got, commit that extra cash, it doesn't matter how much, to pay the smallest debt first. Let's say you had $1,000 as one of your smallest debts, and that debt is maybe another 4 or 5 months down the road or a year. Do whatever it takes with any extra money you have to pay that $1,000 off. Once you finish paying that $1,000, make sure that you keep paying the minimums for the others. Then the idea is that you then take whatever you are using to pay that $1,000 debt and add to the minimum payment of the next debt. Then continue paying, and you pay that one off. Move to the third one, if there's a third. Take whatever you're paying for the first and the second, add to the minimum payment of the third. And what happens is that it basically accelerates the time that you're going to pay that debt, and you pay it off in a short space of time. However, if you actually choose to use the the high interest or the avalanche method, what will happen is you pay the highest interest debt first, and it will still lead you to the same thing that you end up paying your debt sooner. The difference between the snowball and the avalanche method is that the snowball method, which you pay from the smallest to the biggest, in most cases, you end up paying that debt in a smaller space of time. But if you turn over and decided to use the method that you're paying the ones with the interest, higher interest, you may end up actually paying it in a short period of time, but you probably save the most in interest. So depending on which of them, which method, whether you want to get rid of that debt sooner or you're trying to save on the interest, you can use one or more of the strategies. A quick note here. Again, this is where discipline comes to play. Once you have finished paying off the debt and a load has been taken off your shoulder, one, don't go back to doing the same old habits. Transfer that money towards building your wealth or towards some sort of longer-term investment, or start creating your own personal bank. We'll talk about some of those options in the future. The other thing that I did mention we need to be doing along the way, and I said I was not going to talk a lot about, is the idea of building this emergency fund, which Dr. T had talked about. But I just want to bring it back and say that, just to recap some of the excellent points she mentioned there, that why do we need an emergency fund? Because stuff happens. And you may lose a job, and you may transition from one. You may have a car, and all of a sudden the transmission gives up on you. Or I mean, you could have another type of emergency that you need to dip into some sort of savings. And having an emergency fund becomes critical. Most financial advisors say that we should build an emergency fund which will last maybe about 6 months of your income. And what you want to do when you start building this fund is really to, again, become very disciplined. And Dr. T did mention last time, make sure where you are putting this money is not very easy to access. If you're putting it in a jar on your dining table, chances are that when you're stepping out of the house, you could be tempted to pull a few pennies out from there. So set some saving goals for yourself. Make sure it is not too easy to access. I was talking to one of our younger guys, and I told them to open one of these online banks accounts, and don't even ask them for a bank card. So you can easily do like a direct transfer to that account, but if you have to actually do a withdrawal, it will take a bit of an effort for you to make a withdrawal. So keep it in a separate account. Make sure that you're putting it somewhere that can at least generate some interest for you. And one of the ways that somebody shared was that you don't have to necessarily put the same amount. Let's say you set yourself a goal that you want to have maybe $2,000 in the next 5 or 6 months. There are some months that things are tight, you may put a little bit in, but if you sort of keep a chart for yourself, like this is what I put in, sometimes you have to put in a bit more, put in a bit less, and then just keep track until you meet that target. Do whatever it takes until you meet that target. And then once you have built that emergency fund, it will give you some financial freedom to be able to really move forward and see what it is that you want to do. The sole purpose why we're struggling to do this, kings and queens, is that all, if not most of us at the moment, you remember this cash flow quadrant that we shared from Robert Kiyosaki's book? Most of us are on the left-hand side of the equation, of the chart. We are either employees or we're self-employed. We are moving to the right side, top quadrant, where we're going to become business people. The thing about most of us being employed or employees is that we tend to live on this cycle to the right, where we get paid, we spend, we go broke, and then we wait for the end of the month, and then we get paid, we spend, we go broke. Now, as business owners, what's going to happen is we would not necessarily have the same cash flow coming in as your paycheck is coming in. So we need a lot of discipline. We need to be able to create some budgets. We need to be able to invest and save and have some money for the rainy days. And those are the reasons why I thought it would be useful for us to talk about this idea of paying off our debts so that we are free to then start looking at what are some of the options for building wealth, which we would look at in the coming weeks or sessions. I'm going to pause here for now and pass it back to our queen in case somebody has some questions or some comments or additions. Thank you very much.
Wow, Dr. John. Thank you is not enough to appreciate what you just shared. I know you have so much. I was listening from the beginning until now. I know I listened last week, and I believe a lot of people have questions and they want to clarification on a couple of things that you said. But before I pass the floor, I want to first of all, I have a question, but I want to see if Dr. Derek has any input on any of the presentations before I raise my question. Dr. Derek, if you're in the house, please. You're blinking your avatar eyes so fast. You want us to just continue? Okay, here you are. Please, I wanted to comment because the two speakers from Queen JW to Dr. John, I just wanted to comment on something before we proceed, please. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead. Personally, the presentations were awesome. And Queen JW, Queen Jacqueline Warner, most definitely. That was definitely awesome. Because if you and I don't show up to collect that money out of the old wallet, it's not going to benefit anyone. So you better show up for that. But anyway, yes, let us show up. Show up not just when we get the money, but show up from now. Start showing up in your community. Start showing up to your neighbors. Start showing up to the man at the corner. If you can afford another case of water, buy another case. Give 6 buckets to this person, give 6 buckets to that person, etc. We don't have to really wait for the big money to do things, right? If you can only afford 1 case of water, then take 3 out of your case of water and give to the man right there, sitting on the piazza outside of the supermarket or outside of the hair salon that you went to. Too often we ignore people, too often, right? And we don't spend time with them. All right, we maybe take out 2 little quarters, or 2 little, or $1, or little change that is in our pocket, and that is what we give people, the little jinglings. No, let our heart be purposeful in our doing. Show up for that man that is sitting on the corner. Show up for that person that you know is going through struggles. Them don't have to come and tell you so they're going through struggles, because you see it. You see it. You notice that the child, going to school with dirty clothes. So not even laundry they can afford to do. You see it, okay? So let us show up in our neighborhood. Let us not wait just until unpassive start to give us money. Then we think that we need, and then we wait to accumulate, that we clear off everything. Let everybody grow with you, right? Don't just sit down and clear off all of your debt and clear off everything for you. Buy a nice spanking new car, and maybe even change your zip code or change your address before you start to think of let your entire community grow with you, so therefore nobody won't have to come and hit you down for the little that you have. All right, so let us show up for our community, show up for our neighbors, and all of those things. All right, financial blessings is going to happen, right? It is going to happen. So we don't have to, I know, yes, it's kind of hard, 5 years now, and, we still don't see anything, even though some of us wasn't there 5 years ago, just come in last month or last year, and, we're restless, But remember, you and I did not spend any money for anything thus far, right? Because, that $97 wasn't even money that was spent. Yes, I know it is a lot of money for some people, but that's not a money to start business. Not a money to start business. All right, it's $932.50 just for a LLC. So obviously, $97 can't do anything. But thank you very much, King Dr. John, for the steps to financial freedom. Because yes, and even if unpassive isn't coming, so to speak, you still need to make those steps to financial freedom, because it is possible. My great grandmother Dingy used to say to ban your belly. Ban your belly, right? Because there are things that we spend on where we don't need to spend, right? Start to live not above your needs, but live that in satisfaction, right? Live in a satisfied life. Not wanting this, wanting that, wanting, even though you don't have the money to get it. But try to cut down. Yes, we think that we have to have this and have to have that. We think we have to have cable. We think we have to have TV in every room, in every bedroom, in every room. People all have TV in the kitchen and TV in the bathroom and all that. You don't need to do that, because you go to somebody else and you see that. So you right away, I don't have a TV in my bedroom. No. You understand? It's when I go to sleep, I go to sleep. I don't go to my bed to watch TV. No. Everything is done. All activities is done outside of my bedroom. When I go to my bedroom, it's to sleep. Not to read a book, not to watch TV, not to listen to music, not to, talk on the phone. No, I don't even carry my phone to the bedroom. All right? Let us recognize that steps to financial freedom is serious. Is serious, and it can be done. I do have no debt, and when I say I don't have any debt, I mean, yes, well, apart from a phone bill and those things, and you know, I don't have no debt, right? I don't even have a credit card, because credit card for me is spending something that I don't have. And so my great grandmother Dingy say don't spend what you don't have. And credit card is spending what you don't have. And so I keep my money under my mattress, and when I have the amount of money, then that is when I just purchase what I need. All right. I've never bought a car and have a car note. Walk to where I'm going, maybe jump on a bicycle and ride. And yes, I jump on a bicycle and ride until I can afford a vehicle, and I bought my vehicle cash without any car notes and all of that. No, we don't have to put ourselves into. I mean, I can understand if you have a medical situation and emergency situation, fine. But a lot of the time, we purposely put ourselves in debt. Let us not do that. Let us really not do that. Let us live in contentment, and stop putting ourselves in unnecessary debt. Thank you very much, King Dr. John, and of course, Queen Jacqueline Warner. Really appreciate it. And over to you, back to you, Queen Debbie McCormick.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Derek. I'm glad to hear your input. Very much appreciated. It wouldn't go well if we did not hear your input about the presentation of our two speakers. I want to welcome Engineer Mike from Canada, Brother Kumaran from Malaysia, Sister Jenny from Singapore, and Sister Toy from Singapore, and Queen Jean-Pierre from St. Lucia, and all the other people who signed in. I did not see them yet. We welcome each and every one of you. It's such an honor having you today with us, Engineer Mike. Thank you. I know some of us have limited time to be here, and I see Queen Dr. Patience's hand is up, so I'll hold my question for Dr. John until later on. So, Queen Dr. P, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Queen Debbie, Mama McCormick, thank you. Dr. Derek, we have some people that back in Cameroon, we call them the Bambiki people. Sorry, it's not, it was, that's how they were referred to. They would put their money under the mattress. So it was funny to hear Dr. Derek say he puts his money under the mattress. Because he doesn't trust the bank or anything like that. But back home they put it under the mattress first because they didn't trust the bank. But I'm just like that. Just remind me of those scenarios. But the bottom line is that thank you, Queen JW, and thank you, Dr. John. Showing up today, we keep learning, right? A lot of us get ourselves into trouble because we cannot differentiate our needs from our wants. Like as Dr. Derry says, I watched a program once, they were trying to help somebody come out of debt. And the first thing they were assessing all their things. He had how many flat screen TV, like every place in his house had a big flat screen TV that cost a lot of money because he wanted to live that lifestyle. I'm like you, I don't have my TVs. I have one TV downstairs. I don't take my phone. Any part of my house is for a purpose. We don't put. So they said, "Oh, you have to get rid of all these TVs," and he was like confused. So we just live in some almost like some fictitious world sometimes, and get ourselves into trouble. Yeah, and what they asked you, why did you buy cars for your kids, grown kids? Oh, they need a car. So no, let them walk, as Dr. Derry is saying, and trek and take a bus, and when they can afford, they get a car. It's not like you're buying the car because you have the money. So you're taking loans to do all of this. And actually today again, it just struck me that sometimes we try to live a life that basically lack of contentment. Yes, for those who want to use credit card, because I forget to carry cash, I use credit card. But I've never paid a late fee, paid an interest. I've never paid anything because I know how much I earn. My earnings every month is fixed. So my credit card is just for me not to carry cash. So I cannot spend more than I will be able to pay. So I've never carried a credit card balance. For the 40 odd years I've been using credit card, never paid an interest, never paid the late fee, never carried a credit card balance. Okay? So I use my credit card like cash, basically, because I just hate carrying cash. So if you cannot discipline yourself, don't get a credit card. Please, don't. Have you thought about the percentage that you paid? You get something for $1 and you pay 30%? I can't work for the bank, sorry. I tell them I cannot. And my kids were like, no, don't use my credit card. There's a period that nobody uses my credit card in my house. So please, if you Dr. John run a series about credit card, how to understand your billing cycle and all those things, the debt, so people can really get out of that credit card debt. Please, let's live within our means. Let's take our financial freedom seriously, because as you get older, you get to a point you cannot even do these 3-4 jobs again. They don't have anything to live on. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Derek, for this wonderful platform. They'll come here and learn. And thank you, the presenters today, for coming to and selflessly give us your knowledge. I'll shut my mouth now. I see a lot of hands are up. Over to you, Queen Debbie.
Thank you very much, Queen Sister Dr. Patience. Very much appreciate you, as always. Queen Vinette, welcome. You can unmute yourself, please.
Dr. John, another great presentation. You know, Dr. Derek, Mama used to say, don't hang your basket further than you can reach it. and that goes a far way. But Dr. John, I like when you said that you should pay off your debts first. When the apples start rolling in, pay off your debts. That means pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. That's very important. You know, we develop a certain mindset, and, you know, we have certain ways of doing things that it becomes a routine, you know, whether right or wrong, you know. So sometimes we have to change that mindset, right? We have to let go of the things we have planned for ourselves, the life we have planned for ourselves, in order to make room for the one God has planned for us, right?
Amen.
And the one God has planned for us is coming right now. So we have to open up our heart and our mind, change our mindset, develop a new mindset, you know, and develop a new way of doing things, right? You know what insanity is, right? Insanity is keep doing things the same way, expecting different results, right? So we have to have that open mind and change our mindset in order to, you know, get wealth and obtain wealth, right? So thank you so much for that presentation. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Queen Vinette. Wow, you're just on point. Appreciate you as always. Thank you. Queen Jackie, Queen JW.
Thank you so much, Queen Debbie. Dr. John, amazing, amazing, amazing. I mean, what you did this evening, you shared because you cared and you want to see us all successful. So I appreciate you for giving us the tips that we need to help ourselves. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Then here, thank you, my sister.
You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you, Queen JW. Queen Benny, and then you can continue, Queen Benny.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am. You have some time. Yes, 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 and yes.
You nailed it, Dr. John. You nailed it.
Oh, boy.
Well, Dr. John, thank you so much. This topic is very important, not really for me, but for a lot of our brothers and sisters here, because they need to learn how to save that money. I know how to save my money. Now, when it comes, you said debt we should pay our debt first. Dr. John, I intend as soon as our dollars start coming, my school loan will be paid. Before I purchase my house or anything else, I am going to pay my school loan first. Dr. John, remarkable presentation. I just want to thank you. And I think you should come back next week again, because a lot of people will be coming back to learn more and more from you. You nailed it. Thank you, Brother John. Dr. John, thank you.
Don't worry, I'm looking for co-presenters, and I look for somebody who can smile.
Oh, Jesus, thank you. All right. Brand Ambassador, Brother Engineer Michael, please unmute yourself and share us your excitement.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Hey, was it Dr. Patient presenting, or was Dr. John who?
Dr. Patience.
Okay, I can see that.
Dr. John. Dr. John.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. John. I mean, this is the kind of discussions that we should be having now, because we're really close. We will make that money by how we've done the mindset, we've done the products, everybody knows everything. So by how will you do your management? That is a key one, right? So Dr. John, Dr. Derek, Dr. Pat, thank you all, Mama Debbie, Dr. Benny, thank you very much for everything that you do for us. I just want to appreciate and say thank you. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you, Brother Engineer Michael, for coming to support us. We need your support. And I want to thank each and everyone. Does anyone have any question? Don't you guys know that this topic is exciting?
Queen Debbie had a question.
Queen Debbie, where are you? You nailed it.
Dr. B, I'm here.
Proceed, please.
My question, which I did not want to interrupt anyone with, for Dr. John, is one of the very first slides he had, 72 divided by 12 equals 6 or 16. And my brain is glued onto that one, meet the rule of 72. I have been trying to process it, and I got stuck in the middle. Dr. John, can you help clarify that rule for me, please? Please. So I can make notes.
It's thank you, Sister Deb. So Einstein said, if you take whatever your interest rate is, whatever that interest rate is, you take that interest rate and you say 72 divided by that interest rate. Then the answer will be approximately the number of years it will take for that investment or that money to double. Okay. So in that example, the interest rate was 12%. And the 76 divided by 12 72 divided by 12 gives you 6, which says if you have say if you had $10,000 and you put in a bank or in some investment that was averaging you 12% a year, and you didn't take any of that money out, in 6 years you go out there, you get that money would have doubled to 20,000. If you do the math, it comes very close to that. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if that was a debt that you were owing for the same 12%, and you were basically not doing anything to pay off that debt, that formula works whether it's an interest rate, whether it's interest you're earning or interest you're paying. So the example I showed, it was 72 divided by 12 and it's 6. So saying 6 years for that money to double. So a credit card that somebody took and had a $5,000 limit and they spent all of it and never paid a penny, and it was accruing 12%. Mm-hmm. Come back in 6 years, that will be 10K. So one of the financial things that people do is if you think about your checking account in the bank, if you go to your bank today and you deposit $10,000, they will say, Madam, thank you, welcome, you're a very good customer, and we're going to give you 2% for your money. And your 2%, you take the 72 divided by 2. If you just kept that money, that $10,000, and didn't do anything, didn't touch it, and it was averaging 2%, and you come back in 36 years, that money would double to 20,000. The irony is that if you turned around and try to take a loan, even from the same institution, or you get a credit card that is issued by the same institution, those credit cards typically come at 12 to 18% or more, depending on how your credit is. And so when people are putting monies and also owing debt, the rule of 72 sort of just helps you to say, hey, are you making the right financial smart decisions? Or even when it comes to saving and investing, are you able to put your money somewhere that you'll be able to gain a higher interest, but when you want to borrow, you borrow at a lower interest? That's where the wealthy get wealthier, and we will learn some of those techniques somewhere down the road. I know there is a need to be talking more about some of these concepts, but I am also conscious of the fact that I don't want to jump and start talking about things that we cannot apply. So there may be a bit more of preparation that we need to talk about. And when we actually start having real stuff in our hands, then we can say, okay, now that you have money, you can go pay an attorney or pay a lawyer to help you structure in this way. And I'll probably get some of that pushed a bit back. And I had mentioned last week that I'm actually in discussion with some financial attorneys that help people with structuring of their businesses and so on. That discussion, I personally think maybe when we get into the third quarter, that would be a good time when people actually start seeing what they're doing. Then you can start saying, okay, do I want to put my business in the United States, put it in the island somewhere, offshore it? Does it have to be a corporation, LLC, sole proprietorship? So those type of things, I think we just need to hold on to them and know that at the right time, we would have those discussions.
Oh, thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. I have enough notes that I'll review on my own, and believe me,
you may
be coming back
got
with
my number.
Yes, and we may be asking you to come back with parts 3 and 4 for further clarification of other areas. Well, I just want to welcome Queen Lily Lane and Queen Sister Patricia Parent, signing in from Canada. We appreciate all of you who are joining us today. Thank you, Queen Patricia Parent. I also see you left a message in the
chat. Thank you for that.
In the chat as well. We appreciate having you as always. You know, sometimes if you follow us both on chat and in person, that's amazing. We appreciate you. Queen Sharon, Dr. Benny. Oh.
Yes. Queen Sharon, could you please unmute yourself and share us your excitement about how to save your dollars?
I think we're all in the same boat trying to save our dollars, Dr. Benny. And it's a great thing that we start paying off everything that we need to pay off first before we go and spend money on the things that we need and that we want. But I was late today. I'm sorry. I know I'm never late, but I was late today. And I kind of missed the first presentation by Sister Jacqueline and Dr. Brother John. And so I will watch the replay. I just want to say, first of all, hello, everybody, all you beautiful people out there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sharon Whedon from Canada. And I just want to say, Dr. John, baby, Brother John, we love you. Thank you so much. I will watch the replay and catch what you say. And of course, Engineer Mike, my brother from Canada. Engineer Mike, Canada's in the house. You gotta like that. And I just wanted to say hello, Sister Debbie, Sister Patience, Sister Benny, Sister Jacqueline. I love you guys all, and I'm so happy to be part of this beautiful company and to learn so much. I learned so much from all of you guys. I can't wait to meet you all and give you a big, big hug. And oh my God, what a party it's going to be. Can you imagine when we all get together? What a party! Woohoo! That's after all the hugs and tears and loving that we give everybody. And oh my God, yes. So we all have to learn, and I'm so grateful for this platform, Deep Dive, that we can come here and we can learn and educate ourselves and get our mindset. And Sister Dr. T, like she always gives us some good wisdom. And oh my God, it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful, 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 beautiful. And it's great that we have this platform that we can get the shades of color in the house, so to speak, and that from people from all over the world. And we all just connect so well. I love you guys all. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much, Dr. Benny. Thank you so much, Sister Debbie. And I'll speak with you guys soon. Love you all. I'm Pastor Strong.
Thank you. Whatever you do, don't miss the mindset. It was just awesome.
I bet it was. It's always awesome. And you're awesome, Dr. John.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Back to you, Dr. Benny.
Thank you so much, Queen Sharon. We really appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us. And we'll see you again next Tuesday, right? Thank you.
Sunday. I'll see you Sunday, hopefully.
Oh, man, I forgot.
Thank you. You're slipping. But I'll see you probably before Sunday because you're everywhere. I'll see you tonight at 10 o'clock on Engineer Mike.
Later.
Jesus. Thank you so much, Queen Sharon. We appreciate you. All right. We have another queen. Brand ambassador or an affiliate. Queen Dr. Nadu. Please unmute yourself and share us your excitement.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Queen Benny in Singlet, Dr. Smile. Yeah. I'm so thankful to be here, to see all those faces, and I learned a lot. My question is addressed to Dr. John. Whatever he explained today, I'm like, I'm supposed to hear this years ago, not today. Because I have a checking account, and at the same time, I have a credit card with that company. And when I go to shop, instead to use my checking, my card, my debit card, I use my credit card to build a sort of credit. So I realized that anytime, even if I didn't use the card, the fee is piling up. I'm like, what is this? Then I check how much they are taking anytime I use the card. And I start using the credit card. Using my debit cards, and I pay off my credit card. So now I don't have any interest coming in. I have zero payment every month, but I'm just scared. Since that credit card is not active, what got to happen? Is it a good decision?
Okay. Yes. So
Thank you, Doctor.
You're getting me into the presentation that I said I had made with some of the mainly younger generation here. I guess if you heard.
I'm only 21, so.
I know. So Dr. P did mention the fact that we've actually, credit to her really because she started this idea. But I would say that we've actually had credit cards that we used for, I would say, for the last 30 years or so. I mean, my kids know that I don't walk around with cash. And we do all our purchases on our credit cards, and everything we buy, we put it on the credit card. But again, this is where the word discipline comes in, because we know how much our expenses are, and we know how much is in our account. And we make sure that when the statement comes in, we pay it in full before the due date. There's something that you mentioned, which I just want to alert everybody. There are tons and tons of credit cards out there. If you have to get a credit card, make sure that the first thing you do is get a credit card that has no fees. Because if you take a credit card that they charge fees on, whether you use it or not, they're going to be charging those fees. So what I always say is, first thing, for me, I check and make sure that there are no annual fees, monthly fees, whatever fees, because I know that they'll never, ever, ever, ever get a penny of interest from me. Why? I have almost, maybe you'll show that, we'll make that presentation, it may help a few people, but I'm also conscious that it's mainly focusing on the Americas and Canada, and a few people in the islands. But what I do, we have actually almost honed it to an art. And my wife sort of made a comment that there are times in the house that we would stop people from using our credit card, because we basically scheduling it in such a way that I can spend today and I will pay in about 5 weeks' time and still be within my interest-free cycle. So make sure that I'm not totally against credit cards, but I'm against people having credit cards and carrying balances on credit card, because that is going to be you funding those credit cards and paying that rule of 72. So get a card that has no fees, use your card, understand your billing cycle, understand your payment due date, and make sure that you pay off that credit card in full before that day. And there should be zero, absolute zero, with a big fat O charge made against that card. It does help if you are in America, that it will help in building your credit score, which I think is a dumb thing, because the more debt you have, they think the better your score. I learned it the hard way when I came from the UK and I had no credit card. They said I didn't have credit history and I couldn't have a loan when I was trying to just buy appliances from a store. But you need a credit. If you want a credit card to build a unique score, you can get a credit card. You can actually get points of those cards. You can get all the fringe benefits and pay zero if you get the right credit card. And we could, maybe the more that question is, and the previous one is prompting me to actually bring that short presentation just to point out what people need to do, because it is important to you that you can use a credit card, but don't pay for the credit card. We haven't paid a penny of interest on our credit cards for the last 30 years. And I can tell you, we probably spend in the neighborhood of $4,000 or $5,000 on credit card, because every single expense, including the children's school expenses, they go on the credit card. But we don't spend money that we do not have to pay the bills, if you understand.
Wow. Interesting. I will need more because, like I say, I'm scared to use the card.
Okay. Well, maybe again, I'm conscious of the split in terms of the demographics of people on this platform. I don't want to focus specifically on America, but it looks like that is something that could be useful.
Okay. Can they take the cards because I don't use it? more than a year and so and so?
Some companies will write to you and tell you that that card may soon expire, or I know some crazy ones who tell you that because you're not spending the card is going to reduce, they're going to reduce the limit. But in the majority of cases, they will not even, they'll just leave the card with you, and there is no problem with that. One other thing again, once if you have a credit card and you're not amassing a balance on it, sometimes I tell people, if you cancel it, especially here in the US, it could actually affect your credit score.
Yes, that's the main reason why I still have it.
So okay, maybe we can talk
Mhm.
about some of this next week, because it may be important to pull up, just spend about 20 minutes and talk about some do's and don'ts. They may benefit a few people.
All right. Thank you very much. I will appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen Dr. Nadu, for sharing, and thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you. All right, Queen Debbie.
Yes, Dr. Benny. I just want to thank Queen Nadu for seeing her today on Deep Dive. Welcome, Queen Nadu. I always see you on Engineer Mike on Sundays. Seeing you here is an honor. It's a privilege, like everybody else. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Hey, Dr. John, just something I learned the hard way as a student living in New York and going to college and working in New York. I learned the hard way by buying my books and paying my tuition for one semester on a credit card. It took me 3 years to pay it back. And after I finished paying it off, to this day, I have never, ever paid any interest on a credit card. Instead, the company that I have the credit card from them, they pay me on an annual basis for using their card. So that's all I just wanted to share. So I don't pay interest, they pay me because I pay off at the end of the month every year, and they give me a certain percentage because I pay the credit card off at the end of the month. So I just thought I should share that experience. Thank you.
Yep.
Serious. Okay.
Yeah, I just got $1,400 off my credit card.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen Debbie, for sharing. Brand Ambassador Queen Sharon, please unmute yourself and say it.
Just say it. Dr. John, I just want to say about credit cards, I learned years ago when I had my first credit card, I only had one only, and I cut it off after I paid it off because I was paying it off every single month, and every month they would up my limit. I'm like, no, I don't want any more money to play with. No, that's how they get you. That's why you got to be very, very careful with credit cards. And I paid it off, and I said, you know what, forget it. I either have cash, I pay it, and that's it, done. And I don't like to use credit cards for that reason because they just kept upping my limit. And the next thing you know, I got $25,000 to play with. I'm just like, no. Anyway, so I know about credit cards, you got to be careful. And also, I just want to say, Dr. Derek, hello, Dr. Derek, hi.
Your name.
Dr. Derek, your avatar looks very sad today. What's up with that? Oh, there he is. Hello, Dr. D. How are you? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
You have to unmute, Dr. Derek.
Oh, mercy. Yeah, the avatar is the avatar. I cannot help the avatar.
You can't smile. Your avatar's got Botox?
Yes, I guess so. Quite possible, you know, you never can tell. Or maybe diarrhea. You never can tell.
I was just wondering what's up with that.
That's why the avatar looking only to the left, you know. Because the bathroom is over to the left. So I don't know. I don't have a clue. Right? I don't know. But yeah, I'm here. definitely, because running a lot of things and was actually drinking some sparkling wine, non-alcohol. So I didn't want you to see me activities at this time.
Alrighty.
Getting ready for the after party.
I celebrating on passive right now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, man. Celebration time. Come on.
Oh, nice to see your smiling face today.
All right. Go ahead.
One more hand and then it's celebration time.
Yes.
Oh, Queen Benny, are you still here? Brother Shaggy, please. Brother Shaggy.
Thank you. I was trying to unmute myself. Okay, I just wanted to add to the conversation. Actually, I challenge my children to stop using debit card, but to use credit card. And here's my reason. If I go to buy a gas with my debit card, I pay the amount of money for the gas I bought. If I use my debit card, I get 5% charge back. So I think, like Brother John said, and everybody else, it's the discipline that we need. Because credit card can be beneficial, but do we have the discipline to not spend what we don't have?
Yes. That's good.
So I tell them, when you get paid, put the money in your debit card, but don't spend that debit card, because you can't spend on both sides. You can't spend debit card and credit card. I said, no, keep the debit card in the house. Anything you want to buy, make sure the money is in the debit card, then buy it. And then mark the dates. 5 days before it's due, pay it off. My daughter has discovered the day she missed the payment, I took the card. And until it's all clear, and then she cleared it up, I actually cleared it up. So I don't want any interest. I said, you're not getting interest, you're not getting any charges. She said, oh, I saw $26 as charge back that I can spend free money. I said, go ahead, spend it. But don't spend beyond that. So the benefit is we can make the best of the credit card. It's just the discipline. Don't use the debit card. If you're going to use credit card, use credit card, and everything you buy, I go to the grocery store, 2% back. I go to, it's 1%, 3%, 5%. So things are so expensive that I want some money back from everything I buy. And I can only get that with a good credit card. With my debit card, no matter how good your debit card is or what bank it is, you pay for what you buy. But for credit card, you get cash back. You get discount. So you're actually saving money by using the credit card. The trouble again, the discipline of not spending beyond what's in your debit card. So that when they steal, you take the debit card, which is attached to your credit card bank, and then just click the button, pay. They tell you minimum. And the minimum will tell you, if you pay this minimum, you will pay off this $1,500 in 3 years, but you will pay $3,500. They will put it there. So you can say no, total balance, clear, and that's it. And you can look at your statement every month, 0, 0, 0, 0. So I think it's beneficial to use credit card in this, time of inflation. I just wanted to add to the conversation. Thank you, Brother John, for reminding us again, of financial planning and how to build wealth so that we can be ready. So that when a passive comes and we have that on passive card, we have all this, we know how to manage it. When it doesn't come in, we don't spend. Only spend what you have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Brother Shaggy. Pastor, Brother Shaggy. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. We are so pleased to see you here. Thank you for your support. All right, at this moment, I am going to hand it to Queen Debbie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benny. I appreciate you very much. And thank you, Brother Shaggy, for your contribution, as always. Thank you, Dr. John, for that wonderful presentation on our finances, part 2. I'm looking forward to the next one. Hopefully, I'll be able to help myself and probably call you for some guidance. Not more than 10 minutes, I promise you that. Okay, at this point, there are no more hands up, so we're going to say thank you to our YouTube viewers. We appreciate you joining us today from wherever you're signing in. And those who were not with us today, when you do listen to this, thank you for listening to us. And we look forward to seeing you next time, which will be Tuesdays and Thursdays at this same forum. And it's been a wonderful